Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be pruning up my Ficus elastica forest and the clump style. All these trees started from a little plant I bought about 5 years ago from Canadian Tire. I think it was on sale for like $6 or something. Let's go back in time. I'll show you what the plant looked like when I first bought it, and then we'll have a look at the trees today. So here's my new Ficus elastica. It's nothing spectacular, but it's a good size that I can start training as a bonsai. Here's a look at the trees today. As you can see, they've grown quite a bit bigger from that little plant that I started off with. Here's a look at the trees now. So I've got two plantings. I've got a forest planting here and a clump style planting on the left side. The original plant that I purchased was a small clump style, and this tree here is the largest tree in that original clump style. The rest of the small trees, I put them together, I put an elastic around them, and that became my clump style planting. And all the rest of the trees in this forest are cuttings from those original trees. These Ficus elastica trees are trees I shouldn't like as bonsai. They've got large leaves, kind of coarse growth. However, I just love them. They're very colorful. When the new leaves come out, they have a bright red sheath on the leaf. They can be really beautiful looking, and the leaves can be reduced over time. You can get them fairly small, and I think they have potential. The trunks can get fantastic buttressing roots on the full-size trees in nature. I'll show you some photos of some Ficus elastica trees, some mature ones, and that's kind of my inspiration to eventually develop these trees to kind of get that beautiful buttressed root base. Yeah, so I really like the Ficus elastica as bonsai, even though I shouldn't. I'm going to start today by pruning up my clump style Indian rubber trees, and then we'll move on to the forest. Here's an overall view of the clump style planting. The trees are just starting to fuse at the base. I'll show you a close-up of that. Here's a view at the base of the trees. They're all starting to fuse together, and eventually, as they thicken in that, they'll just be one clump coming out of the ground. Here's a look at the branching on the clump style. It's starting to get quite nice. There's a lot of branches fanning outwards. It's starting to look a little more mature. It's starting to get more branches. And I think after the pruning today, when the new shoots start growing in, it'll look pretty awesome. At the back of the planting, there's a branch that's kind of sticking out too far. I'll try and rotate it around so you can see that. I guess this one here, it's starting to kind of overhang the pot a bit too much. So yeah, there's a leaf here that's kind of an old leaf that's gone kind of a orange color. I'll just peel that off. So let's get to the pruning. This will be kind of exciting. I'm going to start the pruning with this trunk line that comes up on the right hand side here. So this trunk line, it comes up. I pruned it here once. A single branch grew out. Pruned it again, another single branch grew out. So I haven't gotten any subdividing on this trunk line yet, but it will come in the future, maybe after this pruning. At the base of each leaf is a dormant bud. So if you prune just above that dormant bud, it activates those buds to grow, and you get a branch coming out the direction that the leaf is facing. I can then use the leaf direction to control where I want my new branches to come in. So I want them fanning outwards. So I have a leaf here that's fanning outwards, one here and one back here. So I'll prune just above this leaf. So here I go, like that. Let's rotate around to the back now. So at the back here, I've got another trunk line that comes up here. It was pruned once here again, and I still only have a single trunk line coming up. So it hasn't gotten any multiple branches coming off it yet. So I've got a leaf that does fan out nicely here, and I've got two above that also nicely fan out. So I'm going to prune it up top here, because if I get a branch coming out here and another one coming out here, that would be perfect. So I'm going to prune just above this leaf. So here I go. Just like that. I'll rotate once again to this one at the very back. It's also been pruned once here. A single branch grew up. It's been pruned again here, and another single branch came out. So no further subdividing on this branch yet, but hopefully today. So I've got a leaf fanning out here, one back here, and one here. So I'm going to prune just above there, like that. Okay, let's keep going around. So here's my next trunk line coming up to this side. It looks like it's been pruned once here, and that might be the only time for this one. So I've got a leaf fanning out here and the remains of one here, that leaf scar. So I think just above there is where I'll prune. So here I go. Just like that. I'll continue going around the tree. So the next trunk line is here. Looks like it was pruned here, here, and up here. And again, no branching coming off it yet, but maybe today. So I have a leaf fanning out here and one here. So I'm going to prune just above there. Here I go. Just like that. Now we're coming around back to the front, and this one does have branching. So you can see the trunk comes up. I've got a branch coming off here. I've got my trunk line going way, way tall up here. And there's a branch kind of growing from the inside of this branch, kind of crossing in towards the center of the tree. So I think that has to be corrected today. Even though I hate taking branches off, it's no good having a branch that's growing in the wrong direction. Here's a close-up of that area. So I want to keep this branch, but I want to get rid of this one on the inside here. So it's coming off. Just like that. And then that leaves me with this trunk coming up, dividing into two. So I've got to find a point where to prune this. And I'm thinking it was pruned once here, up here. I can see some leaf scars of where the leaves were. I'm going to leave these leaves on, so I'm going to take it off here. Here I go. Just like that. That's a big cutting. So the only other branch I haven't touched are the ones growing up the center of the trees now, in the middle here. So let's have a look at those. I've got a branch kind of growing up on the inside here, which is okay. I do want something growing up the center. It is a little congested with all these leaves in here, so I think I've got to do a little defoliation here. So I'll take off this leaf here. And this one here. Just to get a little more light in here. There's one out the back here I can remove. These leaves they were getting shaded out anyway. They didn't look so good. That's a little better. I could still take out this one. And this one. And this one. That gets some light in there. Yeah, they should grow quite nicely. Maybe this one's got to come out too. There. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think I'm just going to leave those to grow, because I do want something kind of thick growing up the middle here, and I think this trunk line here will be the one to do that. So I won't prune the tip of it. I'll just let it grow. Here's a view of the one that I'm leaving to grow. There's another one in the middle. I'm not sure now that I look at it that I want this one growing up the middle here. It kind of crosses that one I'm trying to grow. So I think I'm going to take it off. Here I go. That one's come out. That leaves me with just the one growing up the middle of the clump style. I'm going to leave this one up the center to grow. I haven't pruned the tip off, so that'll grow tall. It'll become the thickest trunk in the planting, right up the middle, and the ones surrounding it will be smaller. Right now, this one over here is the thickest trunk line, and that'll change over the years. Here's an overall look at the clump style Ficus elastica. I really like it. I think it's exciting watching these grow and develop and thicken. Eventually, all these trunk lines will get branches and it'll become this big umbrella canopy, and it'll have aerial roots hanging down. And buttress bases on all the trunks. I think it's going to be really cool watching this develop over the years in the future. A bit of an unusual bonsai, but I think it's going to be very exciting watching it develop. Here's a look at all the branches I pruned off. Quite a bit on both sides of the tree. You can see all the cut points here bleeding away. But yeah, I think this is going to be really cool in the future. I just love these Ficus elastica trees. My clump style is pruned up for today. Let's get out the Ficus elastica forest next. Here is my Ficus elastica forest. I planted this forest 2 years ago, and I thought, after I planted the forest, I thought, do I really need more Ficus elastica? I already had that clump style growing, and I thought, it takes up a lot of space, and they're not the most suitable species for bonsai. And I thought, well, all right, I'll keep it growing and maybe I can give it away someday or something like that. But I'm really glad I kept it, because over the last 2 years, it started to mature and grow, and I'm really liking the forest. I think it's one of those forests that'll just keep getting better in the future as the trees mature, get buttress kind of trunks and aerial roots and branching. I think it'll make a very unique forest, and I think it'll be quite interesting. I think my approach for this forest will have to be a little different from a typical bonsai forest, because the leaves are so large and they quickly block out any branches down below. I've already got some dieback on some of the branches. I'll show you those. Right back in here, I had some branching happening here, and it just got shaded out, got weak, and died off. I think my approach today will be to defoliate the forest. I have a lot of branch stubs and pruning points that need cleaning up in the forest, and with the leaves on, it's really hard to get in there. It's really hard to see what's going on. So I think my first step today is to defoliate the forest and then see what I'm working with. All right, here I go with the defoliation. So I will start with this tree. No particular reason. So I'm just leaving a little bit of the leaf petiole on. There's a branch that's formed at the base of this tree, so I'll keep that. You never know, I might use it, but I will also defoliate it. You can see there's a lot of roots crawling across the surface of the soil, kind of aerial roots. I'm hoping I get more aerial roots in the future. That would be really good. There's an old leaf here, ready to fall off. So yeah, there's where I got that dieback. It's too bad, but... Okay, let's start defoliating some of these larger ones now. So this tree has been growing all summer. It's very vigorous, so defoliation shouldn't be a problem. You don't want to defoliate a weak or sick tree. These ones are really healthy, so they should get new leaves quite quickly. And the new leaves will come in quite a bit smaller, but they'll probably quickly, as the branch grows, they'll thicken up and become quite large once again. But eventually you should be able to get leaves about this size on the tree. Quite small as you get more ramification. And again, some people are sensitive to this latex sap touching their skin, so it's probably a good idea to wear gloves. Some of these trunk lines have really grown strongly. This one at the back here is just huge. I can't believe how they've grown from those little trees that I started off with. There's another branch here that's died back, just got shaded out. So I'm going to have to watch that more closely. Look at the size of that leaf. Wow. Yeah, as you let these grow, they gain all kinds of vigor, which is good because this forest is in a developmental stage. I'm trying to build the size of the trunks up, get some primary branching, but you're going to lose some ramification due to them being shaded out at first. And then as it starts to mature, I'll be pruning it more often, watching for branches getting shaded out and that kind of thing. But for a forest that's only 2 years old, I'm very happy with it. It's growing really well. There's some really little leaves there. There's another little branch growing along the surface of the soil down here, which is pretty cool. And I kind of want that. I want this to kind of evolve naturally, kind of letting the trees do what they want. But, some pruning, keeping them under control. But, if they want to grow branches, I'll let them. It'll evolve as a forest. That'll be exciting. So I'll just clean up all these leaves. A lot of leaves. And compost those. I missed, there's a little branch forming down here. I'll leave that leaf on. Okay, that's looking good. Defoliation is complete. Here is a look at the forest defoliated. And you can see the main tree here, the largest tree, has all kinds of branches coming off it. So they do branch quite easily. Some of the back trees have some branches forming on them too. Not a whole lot, but they have some. So I'm going to begin the pruning now, getting them pruned back to size and shape. I'm looking at the forest and I don't see any major structural issues with the trees. Everything kind of fans out nicely. There's no branches that are kind of crossing each other I don't see any major correction work to be done. So I think today I'll just be kind of pruning everything I have back to make it more compact. And I think that'll be about it. All right, here I go with the pruning. So I'm just going to bring everything back more compact. So here's a branch here that comes out. It's been pruned once. So I need to prune it back to make it more compact. So I've got a branch that fans out here and here. So there's one at the back. So I'm going to take it off right here. Here I go. Just like that. This one, it's already been pruned here. And it hasn't grown strongly. Maybe it's, too shaded out. Just do a little cleanup there. Yeah, so I don't need to prune that one, but I will prune the one above it. I've got a leaf that was coming out here, one out the back, and one here. So I think I'll take it off just above this one. There. That brings me up to the apex here. So this branch is being pruned here once. I've got some branches fanning out here. So I think I'll take it off here, like that. This trunk line comes up. I've got branch fanning out here, one out the back, one out the front here. I think I'm going to come out here, prune it here, like that. And then this trunk line, I don't want it growing above this branch, so I'm going to try and I'll redirect it. I'm going to choose at the back here, I've got a leaf, so I'm going to prune it just above there so it grows kind of more upright. Like that. I'm wondering if this one at the back's too tall. I think it is. I'm going to take it back to here. I think everything else is looking good on this main tree here. So the second one I'll do this back tree. So it had a branch here that it looks like it's died off. It might just barely be alive, but I don't know. I'll leave it on for now. Next time I go to prune it, if nothing's happening with it, it'll come off. So this one, it's getting quite strong. This is sort of like the taken over as the leader of this tree at the back. There's a little shoot here, a branch that's sort of developed. Well, let's take this other one off first. I'm looking for leaves that are fanning out, so I think back to here. And this one, I think I want to go quite short with that one. I'm going to go to here. There's a bud here and one at the back here. Now, the tree at the back, it's got quite a stub from the previous pruning here. I'll get that. Oh, it just dried up. Okay. Well, that's easy to get off. And then I've got some branches facing outwards here towards the back, so I'll prune just above there, like that. And then I've got one over here. And again, I'll want branches that are fanning outwards. So I'm going to prune it back to here, like that. There's some dead branches here I can prune off, like that. Another stub here I can prune off. I've got this tree growing up here. I'll just prune it off here, taking the tip off. I've got a small one here. I'm debating whether I should just leave it or prune the tip off. I think I'm just going to leave it. And there's one growing here. I think I'll leave this one also. It's looking a little weak. And there's a branch growing from the base, kind of sprawling outwards. I like that. There's a little branch growing from here. I'll leave that one. I'll leave this one here also. Again, kind of letting the forest kind of grow a bit naturally with my guidance. So I think that's all the pruning. Let's have a look at it from the front view. Here is a look at the forest now, defoliated, all pruned up. And I think it's looking really good. I like the woody trunks now, starting to get branching. And hopefully it'll just continue to get better in the future. I'll get my Ficus elastica back into the warmth of the plant room now. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.